bro. You gotta chill. Chinks, you gotta chill, bro. You be going off the deep end with some of your takes. He had rappers on his show, bro. What are you talking about? I can't believe you actually saying this. He literally covered the Kendrick and Drake beef, bro. They literally covered that. All right, man. Torture Talk After Hours. You know what it is. Like, share, subscribe. Everything is in the description. All right, man. So we're gonna get to this video right here. Your boy is talking about Elliott Wilson. Is talking about Cameron and how he feels about them. So let's get to it.
Bro. Wait just a minute, everybody. Hold up, pump the brakes. People. We got a last minute entry for Crash Out of the Year. Big Ellie is back, and once again, you guys, he's in rare form hitting on another media personality. Now, Elliott Wilson had a very interesting 2024. He started off the year beefing with Kai Cenat, all because he felt like Kai Cenat was not a media platform. Elliott Wilson dissed Kai Cenat after Nicki Minaj appeared on the streaming platform. He also beefed with Charlemagne after Charlemagne called the mods for trying to beef with Kai Cenat. Then, of course, you guys know about...
All right, so here's my thing. Everybody knows how I feel about Elliott Wilson, but I want to hear him out on this because this should be interesting. Because Elliott Wilson considered himself a hip hop journalist. It's different from hip hop commentator and hip hop journalist. So let's see what Elliott got to say. What's going on?
Elliott Wilson and how he feels about Drake. After Drake gave him one of the biggest interviews on his podcast, the Rap Raider podcast, Elliott Wilson is officially done with Drake. Drake actually dissed him earlier this year. This came after Elliott Wilson was trying to clown Drake for sitting down with Bobby Altoff. And now to end off the year, Elliott Wilson is picking on Cameron to beef with. And if you guys know Cam is not the person you want to go at. Now, Elliott Wilson did an interview with Rory and Moss podcast, and unfortunately, somebody gave him a little bit too much to drink. And you guys know that media personalities and alcohol do not mix. You guys know the saying, a drunk mind speaks sober thoughts? We actually got to see how Elliott Wilson feels about Cameron and the success he's having with his podcast, which is...
I'm starting to see that there's probably some built up anger and frustration with Elliott Wilson because he's losing his space as a hip hop journalist with all these people who just coming into his space. And I don't mean to call it his space, but y'all know what I mean by saying his space. But that's probably what it is. He's probably upset about that because a lot of people are, getting interviews that he probably feel like he should get.
Crazy because Cameron told us, yo, I started this podcast with my own money. I didn't have any investors to give me money for it. This podcast was literally something I came up with in my living room. Here's what he said.
I just was arguing with on the phone for like 2 hours about sports, and I'm like, when I get off the phone, I would look, it'd be like 2 hours and 25 minutes. I'm like, and I'd be mad. And I'm like, I need to put that energy somewhere where I can make some money from it because sports and politics are never going anywhere. So you have people doing podcasts, they'll be in their kitchen, in their living room, on their couch, or their headphones or whatever. And then you had ESPN, which was really, really professional, and there was nothing in between that. And so what I said to myself was, I'm gonna take about $200,000 out of my own money. I'm gonna build a set. I'm gonna wear a suit, get a host, a female host, and another counterpart to argue with me about sports. And it'll look professional, but we gonna talk how we talk in the barbershop or the liquor store, or the gambling spot, or anywhere that urban America is that argues about sports. Because if you walk into a barbershop, it ain't ESPN. They really intense. They arguing about sports. So
I gotta say, that was a genius idea. Um, the way they got this podcast set up, I love how it looks. They put a lot of color, time, and effort into it. It doesn't look like Mason Cameron. It looks like somebody else, but it just looks magnificent. The way they got it set up, it's like I like that. You know what I'm saying? Like they doing a good thing over there.
But I put those two things together, and that's how I started off.
Well, after seeing all the success Cameron had with his podcast, Elliott Wilson says, nah, dog, I don't like that shit. It rubs me the wrong way. I feel like you don't deserve the success that you're having right now. And on top of that, I feel like it should be me, not you. Here's Elliott Wilson speaking on Cameron's podcast.
There is still a side, and those people that could do great interviewers are now becoming the media.
Yes. Everybody's media. Summer Walker's media. Cameron's running like he's Stephen A. Smith. It's what we're dealing with.
Why are you saying like he's Stephen A? Why he not running around like Cameron?
Cameron to be that.
That's what people be mad at you about when you say shit like that.
Which I think he should lean into. Be the old villain.
OD, that was hate.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I think people be mad at you.
Oh, it's
I don't know if that was hate. It's more frustration than hate. I think a lot of us, we run to these words so fast. Hate, racism, jealousy. We run to these words so fast instead of just sitting down and trying to actually understand. I think a lot of us think that we're psychologists and we just psychoanalyze people like right away and we got it right there. I think that's what it is with a lot of people that say stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like she's saying, oh, that was hate. It's like, it really wasn't hate. Like, he's frustrated, and I can understand why he's frustrated. I can understand why.
Cam is running around like he's Stephen A. Smith. No,
why is he a sports journalist? Because he has an opinion? Why?
But
him and Mason proved to have a good opinion that people care about.
He got Mace having a job and really like check because the bag is
he
there.
Was a pastor.
But Elliot, you don't think that we all come from the culture of we all sit around in our neighborhoods, in front of our buildings,
but
in the
Mark don't
barbershop.
make you a journalist.
But I'm just saying, we all sit around in our groups with our friends and talk about
our
sports,
opinions, yes.
music. That's all these guys are doing right now.
But that's not fair.
That's not Elliott's argument. His argument is they're not journalists and they're in his space. That's what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? He's saying that these guys are not journalists, but they're in my space. I mean, I'm just trying to keep it as clear as possible. I'm not saying I side with Elliott. I'm just telling y'all the argument. The argument is this is my space, and Cameron and Mace is in my space. They're artists. I'm a journalist. They're artists. It's not about, oh yeah, they're talking and everybody's talking. It's not about that. It's about, I'm a journalist and they're artists, but they are in my space. That's what he's saying.
Is Shannon Sharp a journalist?
No, but that's the
Or does he
easier
have
bridge.
experience from it?
That's where the athlete becomes the media. That's the easier Charles Barkley. That's easier transition.
So why is it easier for the athlete but not the artist?
It's not easier, but I don't like it because like you imagine like this is the shit I do well, and now everybody want to do it, and they get the celebrity off that shit.
You don't like it because you feel like they're not coming to the journalists to have these conversations.
I'm real with that.
Which affects your bottom line.
The best I ever do is me with that. So then you want to be that off celebrity or what? So I can talk about that. I don't like that shit, and not be a hater.
Yeah.
It's reality.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
You don't like it because you don't think they're good at it?
I know I'm better at it.
Okay.
It's me. It's my.
Listen, man, you can't get no clearer than that. That's exactly what I'm saying. I got to side with Elliott on this one. And the reason why is because even me being who I am, right? I'm a commentator. I'm not a journalist. You know what I'm saying? I'm a commentator. I watch videos and I commentate. I watch the news, I commentate. That's what I do. I'm not a journalist. Now, if I can be a journalist if I want to go look, and I do have some journalistic tendencies where I go look up some shit and play it for y'all. But I'm saying I understand exactly what Elliott Wilson is saying, and I agree with him. I'm better at it. You know what I'm saying? This is what he's saying. I'm better at what they're doing, but they're more successful, and I don't like it because it's kind of like they're watering down what journalism is. You got, and it's another thing, dude, and I can understand it because it's a lot when it comes to things that happen online. As far as like, let's say like the law, right? You got all these channels now that want to be these armchair lawyers now. Everybody knows the law now. Everybody knows what the case is. Really don't know, but they know. And lawyers are like, you really don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's what Elliott Wilson is going through. You know what I mean? To me, it's kind of sound like he's suffering a little bit. To be honest with y'all, it sound like he's suffering a little bit because he sound like it's a lot that he is putting on the line, and people ain't giving him the look. And he's an actual journalist versus he's like, but I can understand why it's happening because people don't want to go to journalists no more. They just want to go have a conversation. They don't want people to dig deep. They want to have a normal conversation like the barbershops and like the gambling spots. They want to have conversations like that now. Nobody wants to go to a journalist and feel like they're being interviewed or interrogated. That's where I think Elliott Wilson isn't understanding that part of the argument.
Life.
Okay.
But Elliot, what
Imagine
will make
it.
you better at it? Because in this day and age, it's just not about getting the information right. It's about who's more entertaining. So who are you to say I'm better at this than them when what
I'll prove it to you I'm better than you. Like, I'm the best. I'm more informed.
Are you better at telling a story? Are you better
100%.
at getting accurate
They're not
information?
better. It's like, that shit cringeworthy. I watch that shit. It's not good.
Yo.
Shit ain't
But
popping.
So the thing is, I understand when he's frustrated. I understand where he's coming from. I just don't like when people ask these questions. And when they ask these questions with the intent to, like, it's like a gotcha question. You know what I'm saying? It's like trying to get a clip or a viral moment. The way she's asking him questions is like she already has the answer in her head already, and she's asking him. But when he goes to answer, she already has her answer already. He was like, "What makes you better? What makes you better? Don't you think this? Like, she ain't trying to have a conversation because in her head it's already programmed that she wanted to be a certain way. You know what I'm saying?
It ain't popping.
I don't agree.
What's the camera interview? Was like, yo, Cameron really asked the questions. Like, what are you talking about? No.
But what interview did Cam take away from something of, let's say we're the hip hop ilk. Even if Maul and I aren't journalists, we're still in hip hop media. You are a hip hop journalist. What interview did Cam take away from us?
They have celebrity has access to different things that I may not have. And again, I do feel like they underperform.
See, I think I have to push
Every
back. I have to
time.
push back
No?
there because you have had 25 years of relationships with
30,
publicists,
30,
PR interviews.
30.
The three majors where Cam is a
30.
celebrity and has, relationships for him being in the game for 30 years. But you have direct relationships with the majors that the rest of the podcasting world never had. So you
Okay.
still do have that. I think.
But that's not his argument. Y'all totally missing the point of what he's saying. Y'all basically trying to I would say not downplay, but trying to subvert the argument to whereas you talking about his successes. He is a hip hop journalist. What he's saying is he don't like the fact that people are coming into the space of being hip hop journalists, and he is a actual hip hop journalist. That's what he's saying. Y'all trying to say, well, what about if they do this better than you? They probably do have interviews better than him, but that's not his argument. His argument is, I am a hip hop journalist. That's like me going to school to be a doctor, right? But I don't become a doctor. I become a I don't know what was under a doctor, nurse practitioner or something, right? And then I go and try to. I'm always in the offices with the doctors trying to talk about and do what they're doing, and it's like, and then I start to get jobs. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not surgeries or nothing like that, but I get the jobs that the doctors are supposed to get. But I'm not a doctor. That's what he's saying. Like he's saying, like you guys are walking into my profession, saying, but it also could be, and I'm just going. I'm gonna say this. It also could be Elliott has some insecurities because he feels like his mainstream media and journalism is dying, and like the average normal person now can be what he is because information it flows so fast, and you got information right in your hand. Literally, you can get information right away. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's what it is. But I can sense his frustration. You know what I'm saying? I can sense it.
We have to go back to the period at the end of the sentence of what the fans want. And with Cam or Young Miami, maybe they just want to be entertained. With Kai, they just want to be entertained. They don't want to be informed. They don't want to be informed.
The access goes to them above me. That's the problem I have. That's what it comes down to. You see what I'm saying? Because it seems sexy, like, yo, Cam's the sports reporter now. Hey, woo.
Okay, but let's not act like that's not always been hip-hop or entertainment at the time. We've seen things that were hot and then failed immediately, but at that time, that was the hot shit that people went to.
And
that's like any genre.
They don't have to fail. It's all good.
But that's not his argument. Oh, my God, bro. That's one thing I can't stand is when people keep changing the argument. That's not his argument. Y'all totally missing the point. We understand what y'all saying. We understand that Mason Cameron is good at what they do and people, we understand that. But his argument isn't that. His argument is they just walking into my space. I've been doing this for years. They actually just started doing it and they're getting looks that I never got or I can't get. And I've been doing this for years. Just imagine that. Just imagine you going to school to be a chef and then some dude graduate and from some rinky-dink school, and I don't mean to call him rinky-dink, but he graduates and he's not a top certified chef, but he's getting all of these jobs because he know how to make a cake that looks nice. It might not taste good or might not be the right ingredients, but he knows that cake looks really nice. That's what Elliott is saying. He bakes a masterpiece while these guys are making cakes that just look good, and people are consuming it and they just going with it because it looks good. That's what he's saying. Y'all, I don't know where y'all going with this argument. It's like y'all want to give him some pushback on it, but instead of saying, I understand exactly what you're saying. Like journalism, hip hop journalism is basically dying because of people like Cameron, people like Rory and Maul, Joe Buttons, myself. Podcasters, they're dying because what's the name? I would say this to Elliott: switch your game up. Start doing things that they're doing. That's what you need to do. Switch your game up because what happens is you're going to get left behind. You're going to get left behind. You got to switch your game up. That's why the legacy media is dead. Nobody watches the legacy media no more. They go to the YouTube for their news now.
Do their thing. I'm just saying, like, yo, I'm competing. I want a shot. I'm in this. I'm still here. Mm-hmm. I want to compete.
But that goes back.
But now you sound like the old nigga in the park that don't get picked up no more.
And I don't want to be that. You're right.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm not saying that you are that because I know your work. I
see what I mean. Like I like her, but she's so gun ho to jump in something to say something negative. Like, bro, just have a conversation with the man. Say instead of saying stop being that, won't you ask him? Well, why do you really feel like this? You know what I'm saying? Won't you ask him those type of questions? You jumping in like, well, I'll stop being that. No, you need to do this. Like, what are you talking about? Just ask the man. Have a conversation with the man. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure that everything in your life ain't as cut and dry. And that's another thing too. Y'all gotta understand. Elliott Wilson's an old man. He's not young. He's an old man. So he probably going through some type of crisis in his head, especially because he feels as though that his genre is dying. He's being left out. He's being left out of the game. Especially you got Drake dissing him. People, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm not defending him. I'm just giving everything in its purest form that I can. I don't really like Elliott Wilson like that. But I gotta be honest. Gotta be honest.
I'm from New York City. I know Elliott Wilson's work.
You always shifted with that. Then when the blogs came, even though you pissed off Nah Right and everyone else because they felt like you were late to the party, to the regular consumer, you weren't.
They hated Rap Radar, right?
Rap Radar came.
Oh, my God.
But then how all those bloggers viewed you, I think is how you're viewing someone like Cameron. Because you have all the connections and relationships that maybe SK, Low, Mech, and them didn't have. But you still looked like somebody that was at the forefront of shifting to blogs. Then we made podcasting popping. Then Rap Radar podcast came, and you took God knows how many interviews from us. But you continue to adapt. So that's why I'm shocked to hear the things that you're saying now, because I've only known you to adapt.
God damn, that was some elite hatred right there. Keep in mind, these two guys are in different lanes. Elliott Wilson does.
Again, y'all, a lot of y'all think so minuscule. It's so crazy to me. A lot of y'all think on such a micro level. It's like, how do you figure that is some super hate because he's expressing how he feels? Now, there was one part I would say that he kind of did. It was kind of hate. He said they're cringeworthy and all. It's like, now that's opinionated. But the other stuff, I don't think it was really hate. I think it was coming from frustration. And it's you got to know the difference between somebody being frustrated and somebody actually hating on you. He didn't come into this saying something like, "Oh, I can't stand them dudes. They're so trash." What makes them trash? Because I think when a person says somebody hate, or a person says they don't like somebody, and they can't give you a reason or why they don't like them, that to me is hating. But if they give you a reason why they don't like something, I don't think that that's hating. I just think they just genuinely don't like them. Doesn't mean that they're hating. But in this case, I think there were some things, I will admit, there were some things that he probably was a little bit hating on. But at the same time, I can understand his frustration. He being left out. And it's going fast, very, very fast. And he probably can't keep up.
Media podcast in relation to music. Cameron does media podcast in relation to sports. Completely different lines of work that never has to cross. I don't know which interviews Elliott Wilson feels like Cameron took away from him. Surely it's not Floyd Mayweather, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, or Roy Jones Jr. Now, of course, Cameron has had a couple.
Come on, bro. You gotta chill. Chinks, you gotta chill, bro. You be going off the deep end with some of your takes. He had rappers on his show, bro. What are you talking about? I can't believe you actually saying this. He literally covered the Kendrick and Drake beef, bro. They literally covered that. They talked about rappers all the time. They talk about rappers. They don't just talk about sports, bro. They talk about everything. But they talk about rap a lot. And they're rappers at that. So what are you talking about? This is crazy.
Rappers on his show. Recently, he had 50 Cent on his platform, but that has nothing to do with you, Elliott. People enjoy Cameron's podcast because it's funny and also it's authentic. And on top of that, not even to glaze him, but he's got a pretty good personality too. All these things go a long way in having a very successful podcast. Now, I get it. You get more traction when you're hating on people these days. And I think Elliott Wilson wants to continue to take on the role as a villain in hip-hop. And I'm cool with that. But
I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. Yeah, some of y'all, I ain't gonna lie, some of y'all podcasters, man, y'all be so to the point, like, y'all don't even try to understand the other side. It's like you already made your mind up. It's like, oh, and then y'all contradict yourself. You literally said that he ain't in the same space as him. I'm sure Elliott Wilson probably interviewed some athletes too, or had something talked to some athletes too, and he don't just have an issue with saying he has an issue with Robbie streamers altogether. But I'm not sitting here saying that Elliott Wilson is 100% correct, but I am saying that he's frustrated, and you gotta try to understand his side. If you're gonna have a cohesive argument, you can't just call somebody a hater right off the gate. Like, you gotta ask him and try to understand why. It's like, oh well, he's a hater. He's just a hater. Like, no, he's not. He's not just a hater. Oh, I can understand that he wants to embrace the role as the villain. Like, come on, bro. What are we doing here? Are we 12? Like, I just don't understand it. But either way, man, thank y'all for joining, man. I just wanted to speak on that. Happy New Year to y'all, too, man. Y'all have yourself a good night, man. I'm out of here. See y'all. Peace. Bye.